Lori has
Amazon.
Amazon. Okay, the big kahuna's here. Go ahead, Lori.
Wowza, Amazon. You know, we were all looking for a loss, right? That's been the story of profitability or lack thereof. Well, Amazon reporting an adjusted earnings per share of 19 cents. Look at that after hours trade. 549 is the ask. That's about a 13% gain in after hours. So Amazon, $23.18 billion, a beat on top. And once again, to reiterate, the earnings per share adjusted 19 cents. It's really all been about profitability. This is really the theme of these big tech companies, right? We saw with Google last week improving revenue and everybody just piling in really a slow growth environment. But don't forget last week, that Prime Day that everybody kind of snarked at because the products Amazon was selling were a little iffy. Huge performance there.
Right.
And that's
this is huge, by the way. 19%. Again, the estimate was for a loss. Actually, that 14-cent loss was supposed to be 27 cents. They improved it a little bit in the past couple of days to minus 14, but it shows a positive 19 cents. That is a huge move. And as you can see after hours, Melissa, this stock is booming to the moon.
No doubt. All right, let's bring in James Chakmak. He's back for a reaction to this one. James, what do you think? Are you surprised?
Hi, how are you? Not really at all. I mean, this is a stock that has been, performing exactly as, one would have hoped with the telegraphed improvements in profitability since 2 quarters ago. Essentially, you have a company where the top line is being driven by their highest margin categories, which are also the fastest growing components. So you have a very attractive margin expansion story. On top of that, their cloud offerings with AWS, which has been talked about time and again, is a, continues to deliver incremental margins to the story. So when you look at the overall opportunities, 15% of retail sales only online, Amazon commanding 20-25% of that. We're in early days.
How could you possibly say you're not surprised? If the mean estimate was for a loss of 14 cents and they came in at a profit of 19, was that your target?
I'm surprised by the magnitude of the beat. I'm not surprised that they did beat. Because ever since what they've been saying since last 2 quarters is, they're going to focus on more cost discipline, that they're going to be able to see the growth coming out of those higher margin categories that will lift the North America margin, international operating around break even, and then AWS, the cloud services, is gravy on top.
Right,
so,
and their market share is growing tremendously. James Frischling is also still with us. James, they are poised to take over Macy's, by the way, as the #1 retailer of clothes in the world. So, I mean, they're growing their market share, but the question has always been, how can a company, $22 billion or something like that, how can it take in that much money without making a profit? Well, this quarter, it made a profit. This is turning, I think it did that once about 2 quarters ago, but this is very significant, is it not?
I agree, and I say I am surprised by the result. In fact, they're making me eat my words because I said I enjoy being a Prime customer and I don't want to be a shareholder. And again, I'm taking a loss on that. Fact is, they are the dominant player in the cloud space. Your other guest commented on AWS, and Microsoft and others are on their heels, and yet they showed they're still the dominant player.
Would you buy the stock at 551 a share? You regret not having bought it at 42. Would you buy it for 551?
I'm not going to chase. Okay. I'm not a chaser here, and if you own it, congratulations, you did better than I did.
Okay, you guys hang on one second. Lori's got some more earnings for us. Let's bring Lori back in. What do you have, Lori?
Just to add to the conversation, those operating margins that you're talking about being so exceptional. So 2%. Most analysts were looking for around 1%. Going to look for the guidance on that. It's very important for key growth. Also, what's interesting, Amazon India continues to be Amazon's fastest growing geography in terms of sales. And the web services businesses, this is the cloud side, huge sales, huge margins here as well. Net sales $1.82 billion versus the expectation of $1.57 billion for just that unit.
By the way,
and again,
Lori,
we're looking,
Lori, I got a question for you. I was told that Prime Day is not included in these numbers. That's correct.
Right. Yeah. Okay, but in terms of the share performance, that is the reasoning for the pile-in because of the fact that they are expecting so many subscribers. Important to note, last quarter, Amazon would not disclose how many subscribers they had to the Prime, but they're hoping in this call to have a projection for the September quarter. Okay. So that's why I mentioned that.
James Chakmak, can I bring you back in for a second? Because I want to ask you, based on what you've seen here, what's the most important color for the call? What is it that you're most focused on?
Sure. I mean, there are basically 3 things. One is the India investments. They're ramping up another $5 billion in India. Is there a path to profitability there internationally? Prime, they've been telegraphing the fact that, that Prime users are growing. When and if will we see a number on that? And then really on the cloud side, are they potentially going to see any more price cuts? But from the looks of it, things are all moving in the right direction.
What about overseas? They saw a big drop off in their overseas sales, of course, because everything overseas looks kind of gloomy right now. Is that a problem for you?
No, I mean, the FX is factored in there too. So they've clamped down on China. They're taking their learnings there. They're translating all of that into India. And I think that you have a lot of lucrative opportunities in growing that prime base and seeing the leverage in the model and potentially seeing that international margin reach to where it could be in line with North America.
By the way,
so
are we close? We must be close to your price target now at 550. I think even the most optimistic didn't think it would be this much after hours. What is your price target? Is it above what it's trading after hours?
It's 505. I raised it.
Holy mackerel! And you're an optimist, so this number must have blown you out of the water.
Yeah, I mean, right now we do have to incorporate the.
So what's your new price target? Are you going up to 600?
I haven't even touched my model yet. No, I'm going to incorporate the numbers. We'll see where it takes us. But if you do look at what the long-term margin potential is of North America at 8%, international can get there too. AWS at 30%. So you build a long-term model, and you can argue a case higher from the 550 that we see today.
James Frischling, let me ask you, because we're looking at a stock amazingly that's popping 14% in after hours. I think even better than that now. Looking at the bottom of the screen, it's still climbing higher. What do you think about this stock here? I mean, is this one that you back away from and see where it settles?
Yeah, I'm not a chaser here. I mean, I think the amazing thing is they put up a profit, and we gotten so used to Bezos and Team Amazon managing our expectations on lower losses than we expected. Today they put up big numbers and put up a profit. I do think the international numbers are stagnant. I look forward to seeing more about it, but I think there are headwinds over there. And I think the Prime number, to your other guest point, I'd love to know how many Prime customers they have, but clearly that is an engine that is working for them. And on top of that, obviously the AWS. But Prime it must be large because I think it's compensating for a lot of other factors going on in Amazon.
And Jim Chalkmark, web services have become a big part of their revenue as well. Are you going to be looking at those numbers carefully?
Absolutely. I mean, they've been growing at 50%, and hopefully, you can continue to see that. Really, it's a three-horse race between them, Google, and Microsoft. AWS definitely has the edge. They have companies like Netflix on board working with the CIA. So, I mean, we think AWS is well positioned to continue to be the market leader and the go-to provider on cloud.
Wow, amazing. Jim, what's your focus for the call?
For me, I want to hear again. I want to hear more about the Prime. I think that is I also would like to hear about the competition they're facing. We know Jet just launched. I know they're small, but they did attract a lot of capital. Clearly, there are other players who want to enter this space. Walmart is going to be a fierce competitor to Amazon. So again, I think they're the dominant player in the space, that being Amazon. But there are other folks trying to enter the market in a very similar way. So again, I think Prime is really where my focus is.
Yeah, look at that stock. That is amazing. It's just climbing higher, David.
All right, Laura.